Time was when a musical comedy by Lionel Monckton could be guaranteed a record run even before the first night curtain went up. He was the coward, the cur, the Gershwin of his day. His music was entrancing. The beauty of his leading ladies was legendary. His chorus girls married into the peerage. Now time has taken the edge off his satire and his witty topicalities, but his melodies are still as fresh and sparkling. And in our musical comedy theatre tonight, there is a crowded house for this performance of the Arcadians. A signal from the stage manager, the lights go down, the music strikes up, and up goes the curtain on the opening number in Arcady. The scene is Arcady. The set would do equally well for the woodland glade in The Bohemian Girl or Babes in the Wood. But the decorative, flimsily attired nymphs and shepherds could belong only to Arcady. We meet Sombra, Chrysia, Strephon, Astrophel, and many others, living a life of utter bliss and entirely ignorant of such horrors of modern civilization as plastic hats, arch supports, bubble gum, and 5 o'clock shadow. Everything is joie de vivre, as it were. And Sombra, Strephon, and company indulge in a little harmony.
The shadow dappled reed is sweet with scent of time. The shepherd tunes his reed to rippling rhythmic rhyme.
The swallows swoop and fly, the grass grows rich and ripe. The brook goes babbling by, lived with laughing life.
So leave your pleasure in the love with leisure, life's a dainty measure for a dancing kid. For nature's smiling privilege of being daily, with the sun of the dew and the love.
Then a cloud appears in the sky. One of those newfangled flying machines. Nearer and nearer it comes. Well, maybe it didn't sound quite like that in 1900. And modelled on Wilbur Wright's heavier-than-air kite, no one in the audience is very surprised when it crashes into a tree and out spills that distinguished comedian, I beg your pardon, Mr. James Smith of Smith & Company, the Leviathan caterers, way off his course. The Arcadians, as best they can, explain to him what Arcady means, its ideals, its love of truth. And Sombra, the soulful one, tells him something of their master, the godlike, ubiquitous Pan.
With a melody enthralling loud, the woodland echoes ring. Out the pipes of Pan are calling with a merry note and swing. Hear the joyous caroling, flowing, flowing, rising, falling, youth and joy must have their fling when the pipes of Pan are calling. Ah! shrill they mingle with the breeze. Sweet they call across the mountain, softly whisper through the trees. Murmur with the bees, lively where the brook goes brawling. If you sing and touch the keys, when the pipes of pain are calling. The pipes of pain. So follow, follow, follow the million pipes of pain. The magic rhythm chords that lead the heart of maiden man. Away, away, they seem to say, and catch us if you can. Come follow, follow where they lead. Many, many times, many, many follow, many, many
To Mr. Smith of London, it's all very refreshing and delightful, with lovely Arcadian bobby-sockers mobbing him everywhere, until they discover that he has committed the greatest sin of all. He has told a lie. Astrophil angrily takes prompt action and commands him to seek the truth at the bottom of a well. So all hands grab the intruder and pitch him in. And now, a miracle happens. Smith, wrinkled and bewhiskered, emerges from the well a fresh-faced boy, handsome and truthful. He has become an Arcadian. And he likes it so much, he insists on all present accompanying him back to Earth to make further converts. So Father Time, who lives nearby, waves his magic sickle, what, no hammer, and out they fly above the sky, over the North Pole, across the icy wastes, then down, 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 and land of all places at Askwood Racecourse, where Mr. Smith's pretty young niece, Eileen Kavanagh of County Clare, is trying to explain to a crowd of admirers that fascinating brogue of hers.
Erin's a spot famous for granary, but we do not match with our scenery. We're not so green, we can make hay with you, says the colleen. Ah, get away with you. Ah, now stop your philandering, you can't capture the rogue. She's her dear Blarney from Clare to Killarney, the dear little girl with the bit of the brogue.
Anna, stop your philandering, you can't capture the rogue. She's heard of Blarney from Blair to Killarney, the dear little girl with the bit of the brogue.
Soft are her eyes, sweet is the speech of her. Still, if you're wise, keep out of reach of her. She can beguile each mother's son of you, sure all the while she's making fun of you. Ah, now stop your philandering, you can't capture the rogue. She's heard your Blarney from Clare to Killarney, the dear little girl with the bit of the brogue.
Anna, stop your philandering, you can't capture the rogue. She's heard your Blarney from Clare to Killarney, the dear little girl with the bit of the brogue.
The Arcadians, who have landed in some trees at the rear of the stand, are not discovered at once by the patrons of the turf, who are so engrossed in laying the odds that they would hardly notice the arrival of the Ku Klux Klan. Jack Meadows, a gay young blood, has entered his horse, the Deuce, in the Corinthian Stakes. He has heavily backed his horse to beat Sir George Paddock's Bella, the favourite. They are rivals, too, for the hand of Eileen, with Jack leading by a short head. Some acrid crosstalk is exchanged when... Crash! Sudden storm rends the sky, and out of nowhere the Arcadians, headed by Simplicitus, alias James Smith, appear before the amazed racegoers, not to mention Smith's wife, Maria. It falls to Sombra to explain the presence of the Arcadians among mere mortals, and at the same time put over some strong propaganda. The fashionable ladies at Askewood are all of a flutter at the appearance of the strange creatures in the abbreviated tunics, and even Mrs. Smith falls heavily for Simplicitus, not realizing that he is her own husband, which upsets Peter Doody, the morbid jockey, who is himself a former beau of Maria's. Not so much of an old flame as a wet squib. Savaged by the deuce, Peter Doody is unable to ride in the Corinthian Stakes, and as no one else will take on the horse, Jack Meadows is in a considerable predicament, for if the deuce wins, he will then be in a position to propose to Eileen Kavanagh. And what's more, it looks as though the Irish Colleen may even accept him. In which case, says Jack, I've already won all that's worth having. And so to their duet, Charming Weather.
You're taking such good care of me, I'm not inclined to set you free.
There's nothing that I wouldn't do to win a kindly word from you.
Oh, very well then, I'll admit I like you just a tiny bit.
When first I saw your face, I vowed you were the dearest. Dash the crowd. It's nice and warm, I think that we should have a lovely day.
It's very, very warm for May.
80 in the shade, they say.
Just fancy.
It almost looks as though the sun had really come to stay.
Oh,
What very charming weather.
It's nice and warm, I think that we should have a lovely day. Very, very warm for May. 80 in the shade, they say. Just fancy. It almost looks as though the sun had really come to stay. Oh, what very charming weather.
Thank goodness they have gone away. I've something I should like to say.
I want to hear it. I confess, I'm sure that I could never guess.
It's all the world to me, although the answer's simply yes or no.
You haven't made it very plain. Oh, bother. Here they come again.
It's nice and warm, I think that we should have a lovely day.
Very, very warm for May.
80 in the shade, they say.
Just fancy.
It almost looks as though the sun had really come to stay.
Oh,
What very charming weather.
It's nice and warm, I think that we shall have a lovely day. Very, very warm for May. 80 in the shade, they say. Just fancy. It almost looks as though the sun had really come to stay. Oh, what very charming weather.
Jack and Eileen make their exit, and here comes the lovely Sombra talking earnestly to Simplicitas. She has just been chatting to the Deuce. The Arcadians are able to converse freely with animals, and the Deuce tells her that he's going to win. You are now an Arcadian, Sombra says to Simplicitas, so why don't you ride the horse? The Deuce says you can even go to sleep on his back if you like. He'll carry you home in perfect safety, and that's straight from the horse's mouth. So Simplicitas Smith dons the colours and goes out to ride, cheered by Maria Smith, who by now is just silly about the man, with the cute little short toga and everything. The crowd climb back onto the stand. There is an ominous hush. And then they're off. Sir George Paddock Sparrow gets away to a flying start, with Sapphira running second, then Cow's Tail, Titbits, and Deuce left at the post. But Deuce is catching up now, with Simplicitas lying fast asleep on the horse's head. No, he's not asleep. He's talking in the horse's ear, and the Deuce is saying, "Oh, for pity's sake, Smith, will you stop breathing down the back of my neck? I'm trying to win this race." And win it he does, by George! There is a big celebration in the evening at Mrs. Smith's hotel. And here we find Eileen Kavanagh, jealous of Jack's interest in the Arcadian, flirting outrageously with Jack's friend Bobby. And the idea is that if you love Eileen, bring her a rose.
When I wander in my garden, each little flower I see, sunshine makes them everyone shine, all nod their heads at me. There are pansies and pinks, there's a daisy that winks at a violet under the wall. Each is fair in a way, you can choose which you may, but for me there's a queen of them all.
But for me there's a queen of them all.
I'm so tired of violets, take them all away. Lilies are frail and a trifle pale, while the tulip's much too gay. Just one blossom I adore, fairest flower that grows. If their heart you would win, and you want to begin, bring me a rose. I've seen every baby blossom tucked in its nice warm bed, glowing every color showing, purple and green and red. There are dahlias and stocks, there are tall hollyhocks, there's a peony blushing and fair.
the tune is much too gay. Just one blossom I adore, there is love and rose.
If your heart you would win, and you want to begin,
Bring me a rose.
To cash in on society's interest in the Arcadians, Mrs. Smith converts her dining room into an Arcadian restaurant. And even gloomy Peter Doody, now done with racing forever, has embraced Arcadianism. In his Grecian tunic, he makes a laughable figure, which rather distresses him. To think that he should be leading all these lovely girls into frivolity. As they dance and caper around him, he apologizes to the audience, saying, "That's what happens to a man that's always merry and bright."
I've always been since quite a lad, cheery and gay when things were bad. That is the way I've always had. Hey, look on the bright side, I've got a mother, always merry and bright. Look around and you will find every cloud is silver lined, the sun will shine. Although the sky's a grey one, I've often said to myself, I've said, cheer up, Cully, you'll soon be dead. A short life and a gay one. Trouble may be upon the mat, I never care two straws for that. I simply whistle and cock my hat, aim horribly reckless. I've got a mother, always merry and bright. Look around and you will find every note is silver lined, the sun will shine. Although the song's a bad one, I've often said to myself, I've said, cheer up, Tauber, you'll soon be dead. A bad note, but a loud.
And now the revels approach their climax. Mrs. Smith is bitterly disillusioned when she finds that her simplicitous is not as truthful as he would have her believe, and his mission to Earth seems to be one of shameless pleasure-seeking. Eileen, too, is angry at Jack's apparent interest in Sombra, until Sombra convinces her that, as a good Arcadian, she does not love Jack, but all men, which provides a shortcut to the young lovers' reconciliation. The Arcadians, too, become wise to Smith's capers, and for the second time, the irrepressible old playboy finds himself dropped in a well. But this time, he emerges wrinkles, whiskers, and all, as James Smith, Leviathan Caterer, and to be smartly dealt with by his better half, Maria. For Sombra and the Arcadians, the pipes of Pan are calling them home. But Jack and Eileen hear the music of another deity, a fellow by the name of Cupid. And that's the cue for the grand finale. The lights are up in the auditorium now, and with the captivating Lionel Monckton melody still tingling in their ears, the audience go happily out into the night. So ends another performance in our musical comedy theatre.